Hello, GW political junkies, and welcome to this week's episode of Colonial Crossfire. Today, we'll be taking a look at what's become the new political epicenter of the country, Georgia. On January 5th, Georgians will head to the polls again to cast their votes in two Senate runoff races. They're important as the winners will determine who controls the Senate majority in 2021. Now for the candidates. Democrat Raphael Warnock, a pastor, is taking on incumbent Republican Kelly Loeffler. And Democrat Jon Ossoff, a former investigative journalist, is challenging Republican incumbent David Perdue. Some context now. According to Georgia election law, candidates must secure the majority of the vote to win an election. Back in November, none of the Georgia Senate candidates achieved this feat. They did come close, though. According to the New York Times, Perdue led Ossoff by nearly 2 percentage points in a close 49.7 to 47.9% race. Warnock and Loeffler, however, did not land as close to that 50% threshold. With 20 candidates in the field, Warnock only secured 32.9% of the vote, and Loeffler, she trailed with 25.9%. Now, if both Democrats win their races, the Senate would be split 50-50, bringing in Vice President-elect Harris to cast the tie-breaking vote, which would effectively give Democrats a majority. But if Loeffler or Perdue are reelected, Republicans take control. And while a 50-50 Senate is very possible right now, it's actually historically rare. The Senate has only been split 50-50 3 times in U.S. history, in 1881, 1953, and right after the 2000 election. But now, with just 26 days to go until Election Day, the two races are as tight as ever, and they're on track to be some of the most expensive Senate races in U.S. history. According to 538, in less than 3 weeks in November, the grassroots fundraising platforms Act Blue and Win Red raised more than $167 million combined, which will go directly to the candidates. Warnock and Ossoff significantly outraised their Republican opponents, more than doubling the Republicans' $55 million with a combined $112 million. And this doesn't even include money raised through other traditional channels, which we won't know until FEC reports are filed later this month. Now, the candidates are on the trail making their stumps, including on the debate stage. This past Sunday was debate day for the Peach State, but only 3 candidates took part in the festivities. Senator Perdue decided to skip Sunday's debate, leaving an empty lectern on the stage, and Jon Ossoff with all the talking time. It was quite the visual. Take a look.
This is the runoff debate for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Senator David Perdue of Georgia. The candidates are, in alphabetical order, Democrat Jon Ossoff. He is CEO of Insight TWI, a media production company that investigates corruption, organized crime, and war crimes for international news organizations. Republican David Perdue has served in the U.S. Senate since 2015. Before his election, he sat on the board of 5 major corporations and co-founded Perdue Partners, a global trading company. Senator Perdue declined to participate in this debate and is represented by an empty podium.
Perdue staff told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that he decided to skip the debate to spend more time connecting with voters. He was also a no-show at the final debate before Election Day back in November. Ossoff, however, took advantage of that free media time, harshly criticizing his opponent for not showing up. Take a listen.
Your senator is refusing to answer questions and debate his opponent because he believes he shouldn't have to. He believes this Senate seat belongs to him. This Senate seat belongs to the people.
Loeffler and Warnock, on the other hand, had a spirited debate on Sunday, trading attacks and at times refusing to answer questions. Warnock balked at a question about court packing, and Loeffler refused to comment on the president's false claims of election rigging and whether or not Joe Biden won the race, instead reverting back to the president's legal battles.
Greg, it's very clear that there were issues in this election. There are 250 investigations open, including an investigation into one of my opponent's organizations, for voter fraud. And we have to make sure that Georgians trust this process because of what's at stake in this election.
But on Saturday, President Trump took a break from those legal fights to take a trip down south to Georgia and stump for Loeffler and Perdue. He encouraged Georgians to head to the polls next month to support the current senators, calling these races, quote, the most important congressional runoff probably in American history. But Republicans are now questioning if the president's support will help or hurt their chances in these 2 races. In recent days, Trump launched attacks on Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, both Republicans, urging them to overturn the state's general election results, even after the president's own DOJ concluded that there was no evidence of widespread fraud in the election. Republicans are now worried that the president is dividing a party in a state that already flipped blue back in November. And however these two races shake out next month, they will be extremely influential in how Washington functions for the next 2 years. With a new administration coming into town and the potential for a 50-50 Senate split, all eyes will be on Georgia for the next 2.5 weeks. And that'll do it for this week's episode of Colonial Crossfire. Be sure to check us out online at www.gw-tv.com and follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook. We'll be back next week with the final debate of 2020, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, for all of us here at GWTV, I'm Mychael Schnell. Thanks for getting caught in the crossfire with us. Wear a mask, social distance, and we'll see you right back here next time.